And we are broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, east of the Mississippi, west of the Atlantic, north of the Gulf Coast, and south of our crazy Trudeauish neighbors to the north. My name is Brian Engelman.
And I'm Blake Walley.
And today we are participating in the Tuesday, July the 11th. Yes, that's 7-11 day, 2023, the Agree to Disagree show. We're going to put some questions out there, affirmative statements, and you will tell us whether you agree or if you
disagree.
Okay. Yes, there we go. That was not rehearsed, as you could obviously not tell. So thank you for joining us today.
We've been up since 7 a.m. with our team of producers working on that, and then we dropped the ball right at the last minute. Way to go.
I know. We need to hire that awesome producer from Tucker Carlson. What's that lady's name that was involved in getting
Karen,
him?
Probably. I don't know.
Karen. Yeah, we'll call her. No, she was that one complainy lady that was like planted on his program just to. Was her name Karen? Really, Karen?
Might as well be. I don't know.
May as well be. All right, fine. We'll hire the most qualified person, or for the purpose of diversity, I don't know. As Mitch Hedberg said, let's go find some purple people. We'll get a purple people to be our producer for the
Grimace
show.
Shake. Yes. All right.
Exactly. Yeah, do that. Okay. So anyhow, thanks for joining us. Blake, tell people where they can follow you real quick before we go over the stories that we're going to cover today.
TV's Blake Walley on Twitter, and of course, the archive is always
perfect. We are the New American Media. So go to thenewamericanmedia.com, youtube.com/The New American Media, Rumble. I think it's rumble.com/The New American Media, Spotify. Still trying to figure out how to get onto Apple iTunes, but for now we're on Spotify. Get our podcast there, The Agree to Disagree Show. We're on Truth Social as The New American Media. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. We're probably on Parler somewhere. We don't use it, but should we get zucked on one of these outlets, we will jump back in and we will use smoke signals and pigeons if we have to. We'll type out Morse code in a tin can from the backyard, shivering in our tattered rags. I don't give a damn what it takes. We're going to cover the news and we're going to talk to you every day about it. So follow us in all the places. We're also on Facebook, TNAM_S parentheses, The Agree to Disagree Show parentheses. That is the name of our private group on Facebook. We cover the news nonstop there. I love the functionality of it. I hate the platform, but it is our private group. Find us. We'll let you in. They'll say, how'd you find the show? Say, hey, we were watching your show and it was good. So follow us there. And there's one more, Instagram.com/The New American Media. So I don't know. Those are some of the places where you can find us. So let's just jump into the news of the day, Blake. We got a lot to cover, and this is pretty astonishing here. Sound of Freedom, Blake. I mean, who saw this coming as the 2023 summer blockbuster? I mean, this is probably the most least likely, obviously. So it's the least likely of all contenders to beat out Indiana Jones of all things. Now, of course, the Indiana one it's pretty woke. He's a pretty old grandpa. It's pretty terrible. So let's hedge our bets a little bit here, but they beat out Indiana Jones as the #1 movie in America, Blake. So let's talk about it. Agree or disagree? The people who claim Sound of Freedom is QAnon are just protecting pedos. Do you agree or disagree? They're the people who are bashing Sound of Freedom, or, what's going on here?
I'm going to agree with that until they prove otherwise, because it makes absolutely no sense how they take a movie about child trafficking and somehow, the media was quick to spin it as though, it's a QAnon thing. It had nothing to do with QAnon. As far as I can tell, there wasn't anybody advertising it like that. They just don't want people to see it. So why
I mean, before we get too far afield in this, there is no such thing as QAnon. This has been said over and over. There is no thing. There is Q.
There is Q, right?
And then there are anons. They're like, putting those together is the dumbest thing someone could say. There's no thing called QAnon. It's Q, and then there are anons. There is no QAnon. So again, I'm a stickler for vernacular, for the specificity of what we say.
Well, either way, yeah, it was a cultural phenomenon that went for years, and they've talked about these sorts of things like we've heard about with Epstein. Child trafficking, it's nothing new for people that follow the Catholic Church or the BBC or Hollywood or DC rings, any of that stuff. These things have gone on, or the royal family. There's tons of stories all over the globe about these sorts of things happening. So, but it's not just some QAnon thing. That's a lot of BS, and that lost its momentum. A lot of the predictions did not come true, at least not on the timeline. They try to make these little deltas. Oh, it's a few years from now. I don't know if it's AI from the future. I don't know if anyone's really been specifically identified, although many people have claimed to be Q or know who Q is. But no one seems to care anymore after 2021 when they kind of left us hanging and made a lot of people look silly. But what's not silly is this child trafficking stuff that continues to go on. So to try to smear it as some sort of a QAnon thing is disingenuous at best. And it's sickening, to watch CNN or the Daily Beast and Rolling Stone just immediately come forth and to criticize this when this should be something that unites everybody. It doesn't matter your political party, your beliefs. We should all stand against child trafficking and the abuse of children. Except a lot of the very most powerful people on the planet seem like maybe they might be into this kind of stuff. And some of them are media moguls or have stake in these things in Hollywood or at higher levels or the BBC. There's a lot of people in the media that are connected, very powerful. So they'll go out of their way to try to protect themselves and their brands. But we know with Epstein, they still haven't released a lot of the people that are involved. We know that there's some major names. And we're not naive to this stuff. And it all needs to come out.
And so this movie, Sound of Freedom, this is Jim Caviezel, not the Weasel, buddy. This is Jim Caviezel.
I don't know if anybody even gets that reference. That's been like old 90s now.
I know.
Movies.
We said it last Thursday, and it stuck with me. Every time I hear Caviezel, I think the Weasel, buddy. Anyway, so can you just kind of walk us through what is this movie about? People are, pushing on this, trying to claim it's a Q thing, and it's not. I guess it was written in 2017 before any of this stuff came out, I believe. But this is a true story, right? This isn't something fantastical or some hypothetical. This is a real person and real work that was done to save real humans, right? This is a real story.
Yes, as far as I can, yes, this is a real story based on one. Let's check this out because I have not seen it myself. So I'm going to get too far ahead of myself. I do want to go see it. Here's a few articles I will point to. So the corrupt media care more about QAnon than human trafficking. So yes, this is Angel Studios' recent film Sound of Freedom, which adapts the true story of a government agent turned vigilante who works within legal means to fight an international child sex trafficking ring. And it's receiving great commercial success and critical acclaim. So briefly outperforming the latest pile of Disney slop. That would probably be a reference to Indiana Jones.
I think the third highest movie is I think it's a Disney. It's one of the least popular Disney movies ever. I think it's got non-binary characters and it's really preachy and Elemental. Maybe it was called. I will say that reminds me. I knew a woman in Hollywood. Her name was Elemento, Elemeno, like Elemental. Elemental. But I think the third highest grossing movie is called Elemental, perhaps, if I'm remembering that right.
That could be. I'm not sure. I haven't gone to see a lot of movies in the theater recently. It's not the same era anymore. But we do have
last one that I saw was Air. You saw that Air about Michael Jordan? It was Ben Affleck.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, I did. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Okay. Asteroid City or John Wick, but did not see any of that stuff. I don't know if I want to see Indiana Jones. I'm astounded they've got 88% positive reviews from the people. I thought that was just going to be an absolute train wreck. A lot of people have pointed it out that it's not good, or it's woke Indiana Jones and they're ruining the legacy. And of course, I would consider Raiders of the Lost Ark my favorite movie of all time. So I don't know. I hate to see that legacy get destroyed. But yes, The Sound of Freedom, anyway, which opened on July 4th, Independence Day, had in a hell of a weekend and outperformed Indiana Jones and should be seen by everybody. So let's see. In fact, I'm going to show. This is where I got the question from Brian Tim Young. Can you see all this stuff? I have so many open tabs on my computer, as you can probably all see, that I can't actually pinpoint specific tabs.
Like, so do I.
Right.
I have multiple browsers with 10 to 30 tabs open. I don't know.
I don't know how you do it. This is just temporary for me, but Brian, that's the normal for Brian.
I know. I my life is that way. I'm a very organized collector of things. If you look at any of my phones, I have 85 open web windows. If you look in a room of mine, I have boxes of things, and they're all categorized, they're organized, but it's just boxes of things. I'm an ADD hyperactive kid that was on Ritalin up until 8th grade. So like my brain is wired a little differently. In some ways it helps me. Some ways it makes me creative and fun and interesting and quirky and intelligent and hard hitting and hard nosed and a great negotiator and all sorts of cool things. It also kind of, it's a little
disorganized scatterbrain. Right.
Huh?
Makes you a disorganized scatterbrain at worst at times.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. But yes, I can see your screen now. I had switched over. I was looking at the weekend box office numbers, kind of comparing some stuff. And I saw there's a new Transformers movie. I didn't even know that. Maybe I'll watch it.
Either did I. I haven't seen any of them. So I guess it's really not that.
You haven't seen any of them? They're fun, man. I think they're Michael Bay. It's a lot of action. And look, it's about alien robots from outer space. Like, tell me, Blake, with Moon Saloon in the works, I'm not interested in stories about alien robots from outer space, literal shape-shifting robots from outer space. So yes, I may watch this one. I think they're fun. They're fun movies.
Oh, that may be. I'm sure they got great special effects. I just haven't had time for all of that. But in due time, we'll see. So, and I got another Mission Impossible coming out next week. Or no, tomorrow. Looks like. Whatever.
Oh.
Anyway, we'll get off of that subject. And we'll get back to the headlines here. So yes, this is Tim Young saying anyone who claims the Sound of Freedom film is QAnon or conspiracy theory is pro-pedo, full stop. And I would tend to agree with that. Here is a hack from the Daily Beast who just basically writes hit pieces on patriots. Although I got to give him some credit. Some of these people are total grifters and they deserve to be exposed. But he also goes after a lot of good people. So, but this is how the dishonesty by some of these political hacks, saying, oh, its lead actor is a QAnon promoter who thinks a cabal tortures children to drain their glands for adrenochrome. So why would he just automatically bash it? Why can't we all get together and be on the side of pro-children not being, trafficked by awful, evil people? But
this administration, Blake, allowing the southern border to be open, what is it? Tens of thousands of kids have gone missing just in the past 2.5 years. Tens of thousands on the small end of, how many are we even talking? People aren't.
It's like 85,000, I think, that they've lost or something. So they're continuously
losing children. But when Border Patrol tries to lock that in and get some sort of semblance of, all right, what's going on here? You have kids in cages. How dare you? I'm going to put on a white suit and I'm going to scream like it's Terminator 2 when everything's blowing up at the kids at the jungle gym. Remember? And she's out at the park at the playground and she's holding on to the chain link fence and the burst comes through and then melts all the flesh off the bone. It's just a skeleton that collapses under the weight of this nuclear fallout. It's like AOC mixed with that scene. The children, won't somebody think of the children? It's like, yeah. You're going to separate the children from who, God knows who this human is. Oh yeah. It's just a bunch of, You know how it is, Blake. When we were kids, we used to go from Minnesota. When you were in Minnesota, you would travel down unaccompanied to Mexico, right? And into Central America. When I grew up in Ohio, I would travel north up through Pennsylvania, New York, and into Canada, as children do, as 5-year-olds often do in caravans. It's no big deal. Open borders, man. Peace, love, and just let it be, man. Right?
Yeah, your parents would pay a coyote to smuggle you over the border. It happened very frequently.
It's just what we did in the 80s. And it was a simpler time in the 1980s, Blake. I think people today are just completely overreacting to 85,000 missing children. Let free range kids ride your bikes. We'll see you in a few years or a few decades or something,
Dude, I miss the 80s, man. I was a latchkey kid, and I had, the bike, and I would just, bike home from work. It was like 6 or 7 or something like that. Yeah, I would just go home. It was a different time. Now it's dangerous. It's a changing world, and not for the better. And yes, these poor kids being sent over the open border. They pretend like it's not a problem. Yeah, and they set up those awful PR stunts with AOC crying over the cages. That was completely staged. And then they say nothing. They just don't care. And then you got these other couple more hacks on CNN acting like this is no big deal, while we still haven't got the the client list for Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So it's crazy how they defend these very powerful people that are involved in this.
Did you want to play that clip of those two back and forth bantering, or that just happened to be there?
No, it's a couple of paid weasels that are protecting pedos. As far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what they're doing.
Weasels.
Yeah. God. Would we please stop staining old Pauly Shore references?
You did it. You just said weasel. I didn't do it.
Oh, goodness gracious. Right. But we've got Dana White. I think this is really awesome that he's coming out saying this. And, kudos to Jack Posobiec saying we are done being silent. This is something that we really need to push back on. The left has really overplayed their hand here. And they are so on the wrong side of history trying to, smear this movie. So Dana White has already said he's gonna give everybody tickets for like all his UFC employees. So I think that's pretty awesome. And yeah, you've got Federalist, calling this all out. We've got this is Rolling Stone getting absolutely slammed. I loved watching all the tweets as people were roasting them. They got ratioed hard, and they deserved every tweet they got. And yeah, here's this have outstanding reviews.
Wow.
Surprising, even from some of the establishment people, but some are very against it. And here you see all the talking points and all of the NPCs on the left that just do whatever the left-wing media says. So Rolling Stone running cover for child traffickers is an article designed to appeal to the conscience of pedophiles. So does Rolling Stone believe that child sex trafficking is a myth? It would appear so from this tweet. Their scorn for all conservatives leads them to gloss over what is truly a horrifying problem that actually does exist. Yeah, it's a big fall for Rolling Stone, which used to be like anti-establishment, but now they've been bought up by the establishment, and they put out some of the worst propaganda, like Daily Beast, BuzzFeed level crap. So it's sad to see, but I don't think anybody takes them seriously anymore. So quite a collection of people in the backlash. And there's the real life Sound of Freedom hero. Media is running interference for pedos and human traffickers is sick. Yes, it sure is. This is Tim Ballard, who is played by Jim Caviezel in the movie, trying to figure out why he's taking any backlash. And here's those hacks again. So it's a lot of good stuff, a lot of good pushback, and the conservatives once again being the voice of reason and taking the high road on this very powerful story and powerful movie. So everybody should go out and see it. And then ask the left-wing media for not saying anything about it, and watch as they lose their minds is trying to defend and bend them, twist themselves into pretzels trying to defend this and twist it into or spin it as QAnon.
I don't know what to say. I mean, if you're, I mean, that the Democrat Party is not about protecting children. I mean, one of the key components of their entire platform is Planned Parenthood, which isn't about parenthood. It's not about setting up parents and helping parents. It's about destroying human life. You have the Democrats and a lot of their left-leaning sympathizers really coming out in full force against this movie. And this movie does what? It protects kids from being abused and killed. Wow. I mean, could you have any clearer dichotomy, a left or right binary option of who to vote for and why? I mean, do you either protect those that need protecting the most, or you're a bit of a monster?
Or you're trying to get them on puberty blockers and trying to transition them behind their parents' back. So, or having drag queen story hour. Yes, leftists should not be around children. If they don't abort them, they're going to try to transition them, or I don't know. I don't even want to go down that road. They've lost touch with all reality. So they're lost souls.
Yeah, man. It's a strange time to be alive. So I don't know. Anybody that wants to see, it's so weird. I can't see any comments. I see 0 comments, Blake, in the
You
display.
didn't put the overlay on, so maybe the new comments will show up now, but we didn't have it on when we started the show. So we'll see if they show up now. Here, I'll try it. I'll get this party started. We have a bunch of comments. They're just not showing up.
I haven't seen a single one. I'm dying to hear what people have to say about that. Jocelyn saying, I thought child trafficking would be a topic both the left and the right could rally around. I was wrong. So if the left can't rally around protecting children, I mean, the left stands. Okay, I can't. Oh, okay. All right, I give up. You're going way too far. I don't even know what's going on.
Yep, we missed all these, so I'm trying to get us caught up to speed here. A lot of great comments by MJ Sedona. Hello, and hello, Jody, and for everybody out there lurking or watching on the replay.
Yes, leave your comments so that we can integrate your comments into our show. So, okay. Well, any other thoughts on this topic, Blake? I mean, here we are. I mean, it's pure evil. Anybody that wants to harm a kid, pure evil.
Yeah.
So act accordingly.
We can't protect our most vulnerable. I mean, what are we as a species? We're gone. So
exactly.
Protect them from the monsters.
All right. Ready to move to the next topic, sir?
I am. Let's
fire
it up.
Here we go. So I think this is as good a place to move and transition to, pardon the pun, as good a place to move toward as any, since we're talking about the ultimate battle of good versus evil. Yes, Democrats have largely turned evil, the party platform. Not everybody. Some people cling to some social libertarian connotations of what the left used to be. I mean, they're so out of touch. They're so, what do you say? They've lost the script. They've lost the plot. Yeah, they're so odd. So like there's some good people that think they know what it means to be Democrat, and they just haven't really followed how out of touch and bizarre everything has become. But really, when you're talking about helping humans, helping children, or harming children, it's good and evil. It's angels and demons. It's demonic and godly. It could not be any more clear cut than this. So Blake, I want to bring this up and ask you, sir, agree or disagree? God should destroy Earth if we are unable to negotiate with the elites. Agree or disagree? God should destroy Earth if we're unable to negotiate with, air quote, the elites. You got to do air quotes because I hate using that phrase ever unless I'm mocking it. So what say you?
You know what? I think I'm going to agree.
Oh!
So what would happen if like the whole world, it was just like an open thing where it was just, child trafficking galore, and it was just the elites abusing children of the peasant class? Like, would it be better off if God just came and just destroyed the earth? if I don't know. That's kind of what it was posed, and this is actually from Alex Jones, because I do keep an eye on the hacks, flex, and lackeys leftists, because I'm always curious about what they're thinking about. And I found this article out of Raw Story.
So before you get to that, I just wanted to say, I feel like today you really made sure that the algorithms would make sure nobody ever sees the show. We're talking about pedos. So everything we typed, everything that's been mentioned about pedos, about Q, about Alex Jones, it's like we have now, I'm sure this episode has been flagged 1,000 ways from Sunday. So I appreciate that, Blake. Way to go. Couldn't we just discuss the home run derby last night and, maybe
we get a ton more views. Oh yeah, we would take off like crazy, I bet, if we just talked about all of the lame pop culture stuff and the home run derby and all that kind of silly drama. Absolutely. So yes, we're gonna have a whole bunch of those little notes underneath the YouTube video. Last time we got hit with the JFK thing, like, oh, it was clearly Lee Harvey Oswald, and that's it. Nothing else to see here, which is fine. I don't care if they put those posts on, and people should go check it. I'm occasionally wrong on stuff.
They think
I'm not afraid to be wrong.
Google wants people to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone and killed JFK. They think they know that, and they think they have the right to tell people what happened there.
Yeah, even though all the information is still classified after 60 years. And
oh yeah, nothing to cover up there, nothing to hide. That's hilarious. See, that's what I hate about Google YouTube. There is no actual truth. There's just not. There is an interpretation of as far as what you believe. What is the truth about, you were saying about God destroying, but Blake, you're more agnostic or atheist, right? You're not necessarily a dyed-in-the-wool believer of any particular stripe, right?
Yeah, like the spiritual but not religious, agnostic I guess. Fair enough. Yeah, because people, when I say agnostic, people are like, "Oh, you're an atheist." I'm like, "No, I'm agnostic. I'm spiritual."
You believe in a God concept, you just don't really put a name to it.
There's something a lot more to us than what we know of, but I don't know if I would just take the King James Bible absolutely literally or anything like that. No, the major religion has never really appealed to me that much. But
so I would love to ask Google YouTube, what is the one true religion? These assholes think that they have like a cornered market on the truth. There is no truth. For hundreds of years or thousands of years, the universe revolved around Earth. And then one day, hey, guess what? We revolve around the sun. Hey, guess what? Earth was flat all along. I don't know. Like, what's going to come next? We always think we're so damn smart and we have everything figured out, but we kind of don't. So there really is no one truth. And I despise companies like Google, YouTube, Alphabet, whoever technically runs them these days. There is no truth. Don't tell me that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone at Dealey Plaza from the Texas School Book Depository. The crack shot team paused in midair, mind you, and hooked to the left. That's one magic loogie, says Jerry Seinfeld in the Keith Hernandez episode of Seinfeld, one of the best episodes ever created on Earth. Back and to the right. Back and to the right. There is no truth. Don't put a disqualifier underneath saying, oh, by the way, you mentioned this thing and that guy thinks something else. And, here's what the real truth is. Screw you. There is no real truth. And that's why I love a place like Twitter for now, temporarily, allowing people to just, like the early days of the internet, Blake, you're allowed to speak. There is your truth, my truth. These are opinions. Everything's an opinion. Well, what if it sways somebody? Well, people need to be savvy connoisseurs of information and know the difference, and they should know how to do their own research. You should never blindly follow a Republican Party, a Democrat Party, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. Never follow anybody blindly.
I totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. So it's up to the individual themselves to come up with their own conclusions. I try to just keep an open mind, keep options open. All I know is I'm on the side of good versus evil. So if it comes down to, Jesus, Satan, I'm 100% on Team Jesus, but I'm not actually a religious person per se. This is a spiritual battle, I do believe, that we are involved in.
Well, you know what they say. They talk about when human beings sometimes have you've heard it said, I had a spiritual experience, right? But it's
Right.
not so much human beings having a spiritual experience. It's more like what we are. We're like an avatar. We're like some ethereal being. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. It's almost
Yes.
like an avatar where, we have our goggles in the waiting room with God somewhere and we're just running through a simulation. Ugh. We pop off the goggles. 2 seconds have elapsed. It feels like 83 years have gone by and I just passed in a nursing home or something, or I got eaten by a shark. I don't know, whatever. Um, and then you take the goggles off and it's like, all right, how did you do? And it shows a display up in front of you. It goes, boop, 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 boop. And it's like, okay, here's your total score. Here's the lessons you learned. Here's the lessons you failed. Would you like to go again? And it's like, if you can get a high score, you can enter a higher level of heaven. And it's like, God, I can do better. Give me another shot. Then you get flashy things like Men in Black. And like
Right.
you lose your short-term memory of that moment and you go back and take the ride again. You buy the ticket, take the ride. I love thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's very possible, and that's what I'd like to see. Yes, we're all going through our spiritual evolution and learning lessons, and you can only learn so much in one lifetime.
Yes. And by the way, referencing the comment you put up, I still can't see a single comment on the side of the screen. It's really disconcerting, but
Yeah, they disappeared on my end too, so I'm probably just going to shut the overlay off because I can't see it. And I'm sorry, guys. We'll try to post your comments on the bottom.
but leave that
if
one
we
on
can, but we can't see it.
Sarah Thor is saying lots of folks are reporting that they're turning air conditioning off in the only theater showing Sound of Freedom. Yes, I went down a rabbit hole of that, and there's a lot of reports. Now, not all. Some reported excellent experiences with AMC Regal, but a lot of reports coming from a lot of different places said that they were given the smallest, crappiest theater, despite this being the #1 movie in the country. The sound was so low that you really couldn't even hear what was going on. You were really only hearing what was happening in the theater next door, or it was so loud it was hurting your ears. And person after person after person were reporting that it was scorching hot. It was the one theater that didn't have the air conditioning working, and it wasn't just one place. It was theater after theater after theater. Now, maybe not all, maybe not most, but it was enough to be a reported trend. So, you got to wonder, and people were asking, who owns AMC? And then you wonder, is there a Vanguard BlackRock overlap there? And some people say there is. So, let's take it with a grain of salt, what people are accusing AMC of, but that's kind of what came through. By the way, I just now got something from Jocelyn. I'm seeing some comments now, so I don't know if it's going to start working.
Restream is the program. They've changed some of their UI and they've moved things around, and there's some technical issues.
Yeah, I caught one of Mike Barra's shows yesterday with the lady that was doing remote readings or something, and he was having a slightly discombobulated experience trying to find the buttons that are no longer in the spot that they used to be. And I'm definitely going through that as well. I know you're going through that. But anyway, Jocelyn here, she says, when Biden was running for POTUS, his campaign slogan was "Fighting for the Soul of America." Since he worships Moloch, Satan, I consider America's freedom as a fight between good and evil. All right. Well, I don't know if he officially is in the public domain saying that he worships Moloch, but you can just kind of look to Ashley Biden's diaries and Hunter Biden's escapades and all of the business dealings and shell corporations of Biden as we're on the verge of nuclear World War III to see whatever he's into is a demonic type thing. For damn sure, Blake.
Right. So, okay, well, we've gone down quite a sidetrack. So let's get back to the headline.
One of those days.
One of those days. So here we go. Alex Jones begs for God to destroy the earth for the children. So speaking on his Sunday show, Jones's logic was a little convoluted, but essentially he wants the world to be blown up before anyone else can do it. And we also have to talk about the establishment and just say, listen, you've lost, and we'll give you absentia. You can go at and take some of your stolen money. People say, don't be a wimp. We want vengeance. No, you look at how wars get ended properly because you just mark them. You expose them. By mark them, I mean mark them in the media. You expose them, and then you destroy their names politically and culturally, and then you let them go because they will blow stuff. They will blow the planet up if they're cornered now. So anyways, he's trying to give the globalists a way out. Jones tried to explain the globalists are losing and might blow up the planet. But if they are going to win, then God should blow up the planet now for the sake of the children. So, Brian, what do you think of that? So, if like I said, if the elites were going to win, like we had no chance, and then we would just be like on digital plantations in the Hunger Games, and they would just, use our children for sport, or just for any abuse that they want. What kind of a planet would we have with a weird, creepy, two-tiered society like that, with one ruling? It'd be like the Morlocks and the Eloi from the old time travel. Was it the I forget, one of the time travel books of old? But I think he's got a point here. And which also makes me wonder if we can actually negotiate with the elites, because that's always been my fear. And I've been saying this for a number of years. Like, is there a way to negotiate with even though they're monsters, even though they're evil, even though they probably deserve to be, thrown in prison or thrown in wood chippers for, abusing children. But is there a way we can negotiate and both coexist? But if they showed mercy, would they be willing to relinquish their power in some ways without destroying the planet in the process? So, Brian, do you want to jump in, or do you want me to keep going on that subject?
Well, I'm looking up no unconditional terms of surrender. Nuts. This was... Yeah, so this was kind of something that was said by a character in the TV show Jericho. Do you remember that? Jericho?
I remember it. I've heard of it, but I never actually watched it.
Pretty interesting. And they canceled the series, but like one of the major things that they said was nuts. No unconditional terms of surrender. And so fans of the show, they didn't get their final season. They didn't get to wrap it up. So they started sending peanuts to the company that was creating the series, maybe ABC, CBS, whichever one it was. And so they just piled up their corporate headquarters with nuts. All the fans started pitching together and getting bulk nuts and sending nuts. And they finally caved and said, all right, we're going to do it. But it just reminded me, because there is no real negotiation with evil. How do you negotiate with a monster? Monsters take, monsters don't care.
Yeah, but what if the monsters
won't honor their word? Their word is no good. Their criminal deeds have piled up, and vengeance is needed. You can't just let them back into Gen Pop. You don't just get to wander around freely unmolested, pardon the Biden-Ashley term. But I don't think so. I don't think there is any sort of navigation possible. If they want to go over to the Denver International Airport and take the escalator down to the 17th subterranean level of hell and stay there and leave the rest of us alone, I mean, maybe. But who's to say they're not just going to pop up and do it again? You're playing whack-a-mole. If you don't remove the cancerous tumor, it's going to metastasize and infect the body again. If you don't remove it surgically, chemically, spiritually, if you don't, it's
Brian,
going to manifest again.
Right. So these people have like nuclear weapons. They have all the unlimited resources, bioweapons. They could do anything to save themselves. So if you're like, hey, okay, we're going to round you guys up and, take you out one by one on the guillotines, or we're going to have the new Nuremberg or what have you, and they're going to spend the rest of their lives like, Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein, would they blow the planet up themselves to save themselves?
But they're going to blow it up anyway. It doesn't matter. They are on a collision course with complete destruction. They must be stopped.
Yeah. They might take us out with them. Right. So this might be just, a waste of time for us to even try to fight these people if they're just going to end up destroying everything anyway. So is there a way we could make a deal and
You know,
say,
when
hey,
I
okay, look at remember, have you seen the movie Inglorious Bastards?
yes,
Okay, so you know how
hunting Nazis.
Christopher Waltz, right, great movie. Do you know how like the head of the SS or whatever, the officer played by Christopher Waltz, and he makes the deal to say, hey, he wants like a home in, I don't know, Martha's Vineyard or something like that. Like he's going to give up the Nazi high command so that he can make a deal, live happily ever after in a beautiful house in America. So he makes that deal. But is there a way that you can make a deal with some of these people? Say like, hey, you guys can have your own island, or I don't know, like not Australia, but I mean, if they gave him like New Zealand, I'm just trying to figure out.
They want America.
They want America, but they can't have America. Right. But what if they could live in peace? They could have a bunch of money and they could have all the nice things, but they had to, but basically they'd be quarantined. And they'd have to be chipped, they'd have to be monitored, but they wouldn't have to face execution. They would have to be on camera. So I proposed this stuff for many years, trying to find a way to make that deal, if at all possible. So I don't know if that's kind of where Alex Jones is going with that. Is there something that can be done? I've posted, this is actually, I was showing, this is a blog post that I wrote August 28th, 2011, almost 12 years ago, trying to put forth some of these very ideas.
I remember this article. I remember that.
Yeah, so it's huge. I used to, before I got into podcasting, and I used to just write big stuff, and I was getting started doing the blog thing. Oh yeah, here's what I'm talking about: Bohemian Grove, the Truman Show. But basically, it's about having a mercy. That if we harshly punish them, we would sink to their level, and we're supposed to be better than them. So maybe we can make a controlled environment that would keep them isolated, but instead of like, constant hellish punishment, like, Gen Pop, there would be fun and limited freedom. So like, like living in the Truman Show. So it sounds like a reward, but if we don't really care if they have an arcade or a sports bar, libraries, golf course, just as long as they stay away from us and stop playing God with us and our children. So if we put them on their own island, like, had RFID chips, cameras everywhere, spy satellites, they could be stars in their own reality show, something like that, like a high-tech prison. But maybe that would be something that we could negotiate. And Brian, speaking of that, I actually did make a vlog on this article. Oh my God. Can you believe we've been doing this shit for 12 years?
My
actually,
God.
Look at this.
Let's see it. Wait, I don't see it. I don't see it. Do you have it pulled up?
Can you see that?
No.
Oh, okay. I probably don't have it. Look at this.
There we are. And handcuffs and get stuffed into police cars. However, these people aren't just going to go quietly without a fight. These are powerful people with powerful connections, and when faced with losing everything and spending the rest of their lives in jail or worse, well, let's just say they could do any number of desperate things to protect themselves from us.
So, go back, and then we'll also go just in 2020 here, April 15th. I also did the exact same thing, or very similar, suggesting this possibility of a controlled environment, because we want the historical records and the documentation. All the crimes need to be exposed. If we're going to have mercy, we have to have protect them, but also protect ourselves from them, or vice versa. But
okay, so my understanding is that Obama was trying to close Guantanamo Bay, and President Trump,
there you go.
And President Trump expanded it. He brought it back and expanded it even, right? That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so you're saying let's take a Guantanamo Bay, for example.
How about, just all of Cuba, or like a big chunk of Cuba? All those people would probably like to get out of there anyway, even though it's probably a nice, lush tropical paradise, but they're, run by a dictator. But maybe, like a giant Guantanamo, because you would probably need, I don't know, maybe you have to house like 10,000 of these super elites that are involved at the highest levels in, awful pedo evil stuff. And people are going to want them away from us. So
I think they belong in Guantanamo.
Right. But if we were to make a deal where they could still be like rich and have limited freedom, but they'd still be on camera. But at least they wouldn't be like.
I get your point. I just, a deal would necessitate trusting that the other side would actually live up to their end of the bargain. These are the least trustworthy people on earth.
Well, if you could make those contracts, or if they can make a deal somehow, like, hey, you're not going to nuke the planet, you're not going to do this, but we won't, punish you for the rest of your life for all the evil stuff you did to us and our children. So you can go be rich and live off in this island, but you can never leave, and you wouldn't want to because the entire world is going to know what you did, and you're going to have cameras on you all the time and RFID chips. But you can live comfortably and happily ever after. So I don't know. Is there a way we can make that happen?
All right.
I don't know if we're willing.
Yeah. So
I don't know that we're going to figure this out today.
No.
Nope. But I get your point. You keep putting it out there, and I understand. I'm open to hearing about it, and leave your comments. What do you think? As far as I'm concerned, I just don't think. I don't think there's any. I just don't see it. It's the scorpion, and
you don't see how do we win and flush all of these bad people out, and then what are you going to do with them?
So you think it would have a chance of working?
I think if there's a way to make a deal, people always like to make a deal. Same with Epstein or whatever, or that like the fictitious, Nazi criminal. So would they be willing to, sell people out? Would they be willing to deal? Otherwise, they get thrown in jail. Or if we try to throw them in jail, they might nuke the planet or launch bioweapons or do something dirty. They have no morals, and they got nothing else to lose because they're screwed.
All right. So in 1933, Blake, there was a Russian novel, The German Quarter by Lev Nidelberg. There was a fable that also appeared in that and a 1944 novel, The Hunter of Pamirs. And that's when this fable kind of was born, The Scorpion and the Frog. Scorpion wants to cross a river but cannot swim, so it asks a frog to carry it across. The frog hesitates, afraid that the scorpion might sting it, but the scorpion promises not to, pointing out that it would drown if it killed the frog in the middle of the river. The frog considers this argument to be sensible and agrees to transport the scorpion. Midway across the river, the scorpion stings the frog anyway, dooming them both. The dying frog looks back at the last moments before it succumbs to poison and sure death. And the dying frog asks the scorpion, "Why did it sting?" Knowing the consequence, to which the scorpion replies, "I am sorry, but I couldn't resist the urge. It's in my nature. I'm a scorpion." These people are scorpions, dude.
I'm well aware of that. So I don't send all the scorpions to Cuba.
I don't see a negotiation working. They would bribe the people holding them in. It's just, it's like the Ring of Sauron. You have to destroy it and throw it into the burning hellfire. It must be ended. It cannot be trusted on this realm. I get your point, but I think they're the scorpions and we're the frogs. I think we'd be foolish to trust them. I think they deserve every bad thing coming to them. And as far as, well, if we don't, they're going to cause problems. It's like they've been causing 98% of the fucking problems on this planet since time immemorial. Maybe it's time we finally hold them accountable. It's what is that, A Bug's Life, where it's finally all the ants start to stand up. Was it to the grasshoppers or whatever that is? And it's like, there's a million of us. I don't give a shit how big your bank account is. We will end you if we must. And so it's like, I'm not going to be scared of ending the earth.
Anywhere.
They're plotting to do it anyway. They're threatening it anyway. It's go time. Like we are our backs are against the wall, Blake. We're not the ones doing the pushing. They are the ones doing the pushing. We are back, sir. That's how I see it. They are the scorpion.
Oh, they definitely are. But they've got nuclear weapons this time. So it could devastate everybody. So, I don't know. It's like I said, that's why it's called peaceful solutions for impossible problems. Because if it was that easy, it would already be done already. Remember the white hats, just like the QAnon stuff. They're supposed to swoop in, round all these people up, and save the day, and we could invent America. But it didn't happen. And part of the reason they say is because of these situations. They are desperate and have all the money, power, and control, and they can do stuff that would, destroy the planet 100 times over. So would they be willing to make a deal? You can go be rich and live on your own private island with all of the rest of the psychopaths, but you have to stay away from everybody. You lose your freedom.
So it's an either or, right? So you will be, or you go get to be in a minimum security prison.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it'd be like the Truman Show. So you'd be on camera all the time, but it'd be hilarious because they could also be like their own reality show stars, and you could play different games and stuff. So there's a few possibilities for that. We could run some of it.
I mean, it's Truman Show, but it's also. I was just thinking of something else. Anyway, all right.
That doesn't mean you can't be comfortable. I mean, instead of some regular old boring prison cell, maybe we could give you guys your own little micro apartment, like the ones you were planning to give us. There's a lot of things you could do with that, or maybe dorms would be fun. There's not going to be, a lot of room, but I mean, you're going to have to get a little creative with that space, but, you still have plenty of flexibility with the decor. I mean, just get in there. Don't be afraid to really express yourself, because, you're going to be on TV.
What if you were watched every moment of your life?
I mean, it'll probably take a while to get used to all the cameras, but, at least we can keep you safe because now we can watch you anytime. In fact, it will be like living in your own reality show. You'll still be in the public eye, and maybe even more famous. You can set up little fun group activities. There won't be any more, secret meetings, but I mean, we want to hear your secret stories. We could have games and challenges. The public could get involved and vote. I mean, it could be like, The Apprentice.
All right. I'll stop running it from there.
But check out Blake's videos at thenextlevelnews.com, embedded over there. Well, I mean, look, the United States went and took a whole bunch of people, the brain drain from 1930s Germany, took the Nazis, went in Operation Paperclip, went and got the rocket men of that regime to come over and work with NASA to essentially create and build NASA.
Yep.
I mean, it's not unprecedented where you put a gun to their head and say, hey, this ends one way with one squeeze, or you listen to what I have to say. And by listen, I mean, pack up your bags and go with us right now. That's your choice. You're headed to Guantanamo. We'll sort it out later. But us Bushes, we have a few thousand, tens of thousands of acres here in Texas. All right, cool. Well, click, or, you're going to come on down here, right. Or, there's no option to stay in here. Oh man. So I don't know. I don't see it happening, but let's keep talking about it, Blake.
All right. I've been talking about it for 12 years, so I'm ready.
All right. Well, we don't have 12 years. We're going to have about 35 minutes left. So we're going to kind of start speeding things up and jump into the rest of our stories. Blake, any final thoughts on this pet project issue of yours, and apparently Alex Jones as well? Any final thoughts on the topic here?
No, look how much look how much this has aged me, Brian. 12 years. You believe that? Where did our life
I have to
trying to fight the elites, trying to save the day.
Little Blake Walley. Look at that. He's got that Celtic
thin I
tapestry. That was the Las Vegas
screen. Well, look at that was like one of my very first vlogs. That was 2011. So before green screens or any of that technology, I was just reading like a script off the computer, that article word for word. Oh, how things have changed. The evolution of the new American media. Huh, Brian? That's before I even met you. That was May 2012 when we started working together with the.
Oh, wow. So that was like a year earlier or so, something like that. Right?
Yep. I barely recognize myself. All right. I'm good.
What would you tell that young version of yourself if you could talk to that kid? What would you say?
Oh, man, Brian, I don't even know, because part of me would think I would just buy a bunch of Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatever, and I would never, ever get involved because this is not gotten. I got a little help in 2011 with some of these people, but then I've like been blacklisted or shunned or censored, algorithms, all of that stuff. I don't know if I would still do the same thing. I might just be quietly rich somewhere and just stay away from all of it, because I did not have I didn't have a fraction of the impact that I thought I might have. So it's been a very frustrating uphill battle, and I've made some major sacrifices to my life to try to put out truth and to put out creative ideas and to change things. But it has not been fruitful. But hey, I'm still enjoying myself. I found purpose. I found purpose in life by trying to fight these demons. But I'm still waiting for that big career breakthrough. But we'll see.
Well, they say, Blake, that the only thing it takes for evil to succeed in this world is for the good men to stand by and do nothing. So, we're counterbalance. We're pushing the scales of justice. We are pushing down on one side to teeter-totter where it's at on the other. We're trying to bring it back down, and every person that contributes, I think it makes a difference. I think there's a groundswell out there. I think there's way more ants than there are grasshoppers. I think there's way more good people than bad people, but we got to do like El Salvador. You got to round them up and be harsh. You got to be harsh as fuck, dude. I mean, there's no in between anymore. You must annihilate the problem. You must go through radiation and chemotherapy to remove the cancer. This stuff is cancerous. It is malignant. They are killers. They are monsters. They are demons. That's kind of what I'm thinking, man. I don't see any way out but fire and lots of it. Rev up the wood chipper, grease the gears, and let it rip, my friend, because anyone that's going to harm kids, anyone that's going to mess around with nuclear weapons and try to cause hundreds of thousands or millions of people to die in wars, these aren't humans. These are monsters.
They might not be.
Yeah, they might not even legitimately be human. Hence, once again, back to the script of Moon Saloon coming soon, hopefully one of these days. Okay, we're going to run to a bunch of other stories, Blake. Here we go.
All right.
All right, now. So this gal, I want to tell you a little bit about a gal. Except it's not letting me press the button. This is the weirdest shit. Today's show is weird. I am hovering over the gal Luft pretending to be a whistleblower to evade legitimate charges, and it will not let me show this. It will not let me click it.
I did it.
You got it? Mine was grayed out. This new thing from what is this? Restream?
Yeah.
It is awful. It's not functional. It is all glitch. You need to get back to that UI thing and jump in and fix it for them. I know you're getting into UI for a minute there, but anyway, here's the topic. Gal Luft, Blake, agree or disagree? Gal Luft, what is Gal short for? Gallivant? All right, so Gal Luft is just pretending to be a whistleblower to evade legitimate charges. Blake, agree or disagree that Luft is pretending to be a whistleblower just to evade legitimate charges?
I am going to disagree. I think he is a legitimate whistleblower, and they are terrified of him testifying against the Biden administration. He's got the goods. They know it. And now they're trying to smear him as some kind of a criminal, and they're going to silence him. So let's pull this up, because we did talk about it. It was quite a bombshell story. Here it is. Biden DOJ indicts whistleblower Gal Luft days after he releases the video detailing all of the criminal allegations against the Biden crime family. So he's hit with a 8-count indictment. That was just 1 week later. He's a dual U.S.-Israeli citizen, formerly resided in both Maryland and Israel, now a fugitive, been charged with the following offenses, which carry maximum prison terms listed below. So they are really throwing the book at him. Let's see here. So Luft, was this advisor to the China Energy, CEFC, a business conglomerate with extremely close ties to the Chinese Communist Party. He served alongside Hunter Biden, and then that company paid Hunter approximately $5 million in 2017 to secure energy deals in the United States. Gal said he was arrested in Cyprus to stop him from testifying to the House Oversight Committee. And I did watch the whole 14-minute video. We will not watch it here, but he does seem very credible. So, but they are, let's see if I can find these criminal charges here. I'm not sure where they're at. I did find them, but seems like they don't want him to speak. That's be my point of view on that one. Oh, he's failed to register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, arms trafficking, Iranian sanctions violations, and, quote, making false statements to federal agents. But the federal agents were the ones that came over to visit him in Belgium and ask him about what was going on with the Biden family. He told them, and then they went after him. And the Brian that you wanted to get into a fight with had something to say about this. Here's your friend Brian Krasenstein. We volunteered to fight on the undercard. Did I drop out, or is that you, Brian? Oh, I think Brian dropped out there. Brian, did you drop out? All right, I'm going to keep going. Brian, you chime in.
Yes, I did drop out. It was telling me that there was an error and I needed to reset to get the chat overlay going. Because it is oops, something went wrong. Try reloading the page. I don't know, man. It's asking me to log in too for like Google. I don't know what this is all about.
Oh, but, all right.
It is a nice
stuff and nerds.
No, I have the chat now.
Oh, good. All right.
I just had to click restart several different times and restart everything, but I'm back. Okay, so the gal Luft, Blake, go ahead, pick it up where we are.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that you're the guy you want to fight. At the,
Who do I want to fight?
Remember what? So Zuck and Elon Musk are ready to have a brawl, maybe at the Roman Coliseum or what have you.
Oh, I get Krasenstein
volunteering for the undercard, and you wanted to fight Brian Krasenstein, and I said, well, I would just fight his brother Ed.
Yeah, we're namesakes, and he's a cartoonish character. He's not a serious human. The stuff that's put out, it's almost as if you trained an AI to put out Babylon Bee type farcical, nonsensical rebuttals that don't really address the points. They're comical people. They're not serious people. But they're heavily funded, very well funded, doing well. They've sold their soul to push lies all day, just like, all these mainstream, lying legacy media hacks. So, yeah, maybe Krasenstein. I don't know him personally. I just know his takes suck. I'm not threatening violence per se. I'm just saying.
No, it's part of the part of the charity fundraiser with Elon and Mark Zuckerberg. One fight is just not enough. That could be over in 20 seconds. So you need to have an undercard. And so who do you put on there? So how about some rivalries with the media? So we are volunteering ourselves to go on the undercard. And I will I'll take on Ed as long as he's not 40 pounds and he trains Krav Maga for the last 5 years or something. So anyway, and you're going to fight Brian. But I just wanted to mention, because I found this really awful tweet from Brian saying, recall it just 2 days ago, he was warning us about Gal Luft, who had been arrested. And he says, whose man is making allegations against Hunter Biden. He says, I told you all that he was being sought for a variety of crimes. This is the man that Republicans have been claiming to be a legitimate whistleblower. They will now certainly claim that his arrest was because he was blowing the whistle instead of the much more likely alternative that he was pretending to blow the whistle in order to rationalize the pending charges against him. Look at the way he is twisting himself.
Would Google YouTube put a little note at the bottom of today's episode parroting what Brian Krasenstein just said, that it's much more likely that Gal Luft not registering as a foreign agent, just like Hunter Biden did not, and just like, I mean, countless numbers of people do not, selective enforcement on that. It's much more likely that the charges that were filed after he claimed to be a whistleblower, after he spilled the tea on the Biden crime family. Oh, no. It's completely non-retaliatory. And it's really just about the rule of law. Nobody's above the law, they say.
Brian, are you questioning the credibility of Hunter Biden? I mean, how does anyone think...
Him doing rails, him doing bumps on the balcony at the White House. And I mean, his eyes bugging on, he's rubbing his head and he's playing with kids. And it's just like, this couldn't be any more of a thumb in the nose, just a complete farce of a fake administration that stole the last election, and they're just laughing at us. I mean, I guess there's no proof that the last election was stolen, other than the fact that Trump was up in a massive, dominating landslide until 6 or 7 or 8 states just paused for the first time ever in American history, and just radically, monumentally flipped from the winner to this underdog. It would be the equivalent of, you remember that game, the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, when Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field? He died on the field and they brought him back.
Maybe, yeah.
And then
I did watch it. I don't know if he died. Yeah.
No, he died. His heart stopped and they shocked it back. He was dead on the field. I'm not being hyperbolic there. He actually died. And then he came back. But this is the equivalent of like that game played maybe half a game roughly. And then they just decided we're going to suspend it. We'll try to make it up in a few days. And they just said, let's just cancel it. But this is the equivalent of playing the Super Bowl. That's what an election is. It's a Super Bowl. And, one team had a monumental, insurmountable lead over 3 quarters and just a couple of minutes left in the game. They're up by 7 touchdowns. Suddenly the game is paused. Super Bowl's never been paused in human history before. Suddenly it's paused. And then several weeks later, they're just like, oh, look, you know what? We reviewed the footage, and the team that was getting blown out of the water, it turns out they had more points. You didn't see them, but they had more points because we said so. So that's what happened here in 2020.
That's what it seems like. And there's the same thing with, with Kerry Lake too, up by 11 points, expected to win a landslide. And then all of a sudden, there's giant lines in Maricopa and all the ballots, they're not tabulating correctly. And they're wrong size ballot, but they didn't figure that out for a while. But there's a lot of problems here, and that they just want to run us over and accept their gaslighting. And if
anything else, the thing, so what we're seeing is the least popular president in American history, because he's not the duly elected president. He seized control. They put the National Guard in to protect the Capitol because they were so worried that the people were going to drag him out by his feet, drag him out by his necktie. I mean, nobody believed that. They were terrified that it was going to be an actual upheaval to remove the usurper. No, it didn't happen for some reason. They had a mostly peaceful protest, but that was also infiltrated. So, the legacy of this is very strange. But what you're seeing from this, it's like a terrified fox that got into the hen house, and you've burst through the door. They have blood all over their mouth and their paws. They got leaves and chicken carcass splattered across the place. And you've closed the door, blocked their access. The fox is terrified because you've caught him red-mouthed, red-handed.
Yep.
So the Biden regime bursting in and raiding President Trump. Are you out of your damn mind? They put up fences around the Capitol and staged the National Guard to try to protect their overthrow of the United States. They thought that they got away with this?
They raided James O'Keefe, too, for having the Ashley Biden diary.
And now they're going after this guy, this gal Luft, after he declared himself to be a whistleblower, after he said these guys are the mafia. They are dirty. They are corrupt. They are running us into dangerous places. No, we're going to go after you because you're the bad guy. Yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah, see, that's the ticket. You're the real bad guy. See, man. These guys are absolutely psychopathic, neurotic. They are out of their gourds to think that they were going to get away with this. Out of their damn gourds. So this is a flailing. They always say, like in ocean terms, in a pool, in an ocean, if you're diving, especially if you're diving, when someone starts to panic, you really do have to stay away. Because when they lose track of up and down and left and right and something's off with, they start flailing and reaching and lashing out and twisting. They will wrap up your cords. They'll rip your oxygen out of your mouth. They'll grab you trying to pull themselves up. That's what Biden is. Biden is a drowning rat, just clawing and biting and gnashing and snarling. Like there is no
Old Yeller now. I wiped that story. His new nickname is actually Old Yeller.
According to who?
Treats his staff terribly. Oh, because they found out that he's a huge asshole behind the scenes, and he's screaming at staffers, and they're calling him Old Yeller.
I did read
the
that.
Yeltsin needs to be put out to pasture.
Yes, pony soldiers. You damn pony soldier.
Dog-faced pony soldier. Yep.
Dog-faced pony soldier. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next story. Do you have any final thoughts on this Gal Luft situation? Clearly political retaliation, lawfare, same thing they've done to Trump.
Hey, let's have some transparency. Let's have him testify to see what he actually says, and let the facts fall where they may and go from there. How about that? Let's not try to silence a whistleblower, because that's what they're going to try to do. He's going to be a political prisoner, as far as I'm concerned, until that they can, find out what's really going on here. So
just like Julian Assange.
Yep.
Just like that dude in Ukraine. What's his name?
What, Zelensky? Ukraine? Oh, no, my guy, Gonzalo Lira, a political prisoner. Yes, we have to make sure we try to keep his name alive and keep saying that. We want him free. No more money to Ukraine. I want my man back.
So maybe next time we'll do a show on him, just an update. Even if it's a bunch of nothing, put it on the stack so we can keep his name in the news. Okay, next topic. Bum, 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 bum. Blake, do you agree or disagree that Jack White of the White Stripes, by the way, that's not his real name. Did you guys know that? Do you agree or disagree that Jack White is right, that it's disgusting to normalize fascist Donald Trump?
I disagree. I think Jack White is a musical genius, a god of rock and roll. I am blown away by how good the White Stripes were, even though at the time I kind of thought they had maybe a little too much of a raw sound. It took me a little while to warm up. But once I realized that it was just him and his wife, one guy can sing and play guitar and make so much. He's like a whole band onto himself. Just give him a drummer. I'm, impressed by his abilities. Certainly, I love a lot of his songs, but he needs to shut the F up about political stuff, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And this was a terrible take.
Why don't you throw yourself out? You're an immigrant too. Remember that song by Jack White? Remember that one?
I don't always know the lyrics, which is probably a good thing, because it never really adds anything to the song. It usually always just makes things worse. So I like to just kind of imagine what the lyrics are in my head. But no, the guy's got an entire library of all kinds of stuff. And he's got all these other spin-off bands. He's pretty prolific. It's not just, the White Stripes, his solo stuff, or it's the Raconteurs, or the Dead Weather. Or what else does he have? Doesn't he have some other stuff? But he's got bits and pieces.
The Raconteurs. Yes, the
Raconteurs. Yep.
By the way, this is Icky Thump. White Americans, what? Nothing better to do? Why don't you kick yourself out? You're an immigrant too. Who's using who? What should we do? Well, you can't be a pimp and a prostitute too.
Oh, so he's been a woke idiot for a long time. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was spouting off. Here's another, of course, Rolling Stone was more than happy to run this because Jack White criticized Mark Wahlberg, Guy Fieri, Mel Gibson. They're all on Jack White's shit list for normalizing Donald Trump. Anybody who normalizes or treats this disgusting, fascist, racist, con man, disgusting piece of shit Trump with any level of respect is also disgusting in my book, the musician wrote on Instagram. So I guess he's got a growing shit list, and I'm not going to subscribe to CIA, Rolling Stone, and your shit rag. So I won't go any further than that. But I do want to mention... I know there's a couple other. Here is a interesting tweet from the nasty Italian, who I have no idea who this person is, but I thought it was interesting that he wrote, "I have no idea who the F Jack White is," which I'm surprised by. But he says he would rather. I'm sure he would have praised Guy Fieri, Joe Rogan, and Mel Gibson if they had their pictures taken with 5-year-old kids in front of a bunch of naked guys on Pride Month who think they're women, instead of alpha male that represents the strength of the U.S. And that kind of goes into. There's this great footage that came out over the weekend. This is where it is. It's when Donald Trump made an appearance at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas and was met with Dana White and Joe Rogan and all of these people. I'm going to actually probably run this on silent if it'll run. And it doesn't look like it. Oh, I love the technique. It never runs when you're live streaming, but here we go.
There it is.
And they're trying to show. So this is Joe Biden in Delaware.
Hi,
So-
I'm in Delaware. They said
Yeah.
on Wayne and Garth, Wayne's World. Hi, I'm in Delaware. This is
Right.
so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who won the election. Everyone knows. This is insane. There is no way this guy got
81 million verified votes, and not even 8 people on the beach know who he is or would probably even care. Look at him. What a sad old man. That's fine. I mean, good for him, but he had no business running for president. And so how did he beat this guy who brings the house down in Vegas? All the people, everybody wants to shake his hand. Of course, they've got celebrities there. And then just to see the liberal media, freaking out about it, they're so mad, and they're so mad at all these people that were there and shook his hand. I mean, it's amazing. So, anyway, I'll stop sharing that one.
Yeah. So, I had somebody, one of my inner circle, asking me a pretty good question. What's to say they're not just going to do the same thing to Trump this time? In this next election, like why do we have any hope? They haven't stopped mail-in ballots.
Yeah, why would they? They got nothing to lose at this point. They are going to jail for the rest of their lives, no matter what. So that's just, I mean, they have every incentive to try to steal another. They have every incentive to steal this next election. I won't go into the 2020. I know they don't like to. You are allowed to criticize it now. And I do criticize it because I don't think there's any way that guy got 81 million verified votes if they actually went through all the voter rolls and matched signatures and looked at the mail-in ballots and all that stuff. There's no way that's all legitimate in my book. But they have. Why would they stop? They have to stay in power, or they know their lives are over. They're done. So they'll do anything and everything. So we have to assume, and just lay it all out. The American people just need the transparency. We need the integrity to see that this is a legitimate vote, and I will accept the results. Problem is, they don't want you to get the full audit. They don't want you to see everything, and they will continue to stonewall. And they have the media on their side. So it's
why did the Supreme Court not chime in and do anything? So, like, what's going to happen next time? Have we banned nationwide mail-in ballots? They're just completely insecure. They're right. Completely untrustworthy. That being able to audit our elections is still a process that has not been figured out. having access to all the source code and watchers and cameras on every single thing. That have we solidified? Have we fortified our election, Blake, to coin the term that everybody else has used when they overthrew Trump in 2020? They started bragging about it. What was that? The Time story?
Time magazine. Yeah.
I mean, unless you ban all of the sketchy, non-verifiable components, I mean, who's to say they're not just going to lie again and cheat again? I mean, how did Trump first time though? How did he get in the first? My response was, well, how did he get in the first time?
I think it was just they overwhelmed. They couldn't actually take it from him because they couldn't handle the volume of people that actually vote. It actually overwhelmed them, and they were caught off guard.
But he got even more votes the second time, and
then they tried to take it from him. Right? They sent Jill Stein out to go look at the votes, and then they said it was Russian collusion, and then they spun that whole thing. So, they must have cheated. Well, no, that was real, and he's probably got a lot more votes. And the establishment probably got a lot less, and they did as much as they could, and they still fell just short.
All right, so, next story.
I'm sure that wouldn't happen, and that's what they did: the COVID, the lockdown, the mail-in ballots, and then they changed all the rules.
All right, next story. We're going to move really fast in these. Blake, agree or disagree? It's okay to send cluster bombs to Ukraine if we run out of regular ammo.
Agree. That seems fair.
Perfect.
Or not. No.
Next topic. Okay, the CDC and medical establishment. No, I'm just kidding.
Hold on a second. Let's get to it. So, this is a cluster bombs. This is a violation of the Geneva Convention, or I don't know if it's actually on there, but the point is the international community is not on board with this stuff. And so when they were confronted about this, Biden explained, we're giving the cluster bombs because we've run out of ammunition. That's a great answer, but it's also awful. How did we run out of ammunition?
Because it's planned. Blake,
yep.
One of my confidants that I was discussing with, the same one that said, what's to keep him from cheating the next time? We were discussing his contact at the southern border. He says, there's tens and tens and tens of thousands of Chinese military men that have invaded America waiting as sleeper cells for when the grid goes down. Like, they already know our addresses. We're going to be the first ones to get picked off. So we better be ready when the grid goes down. When the grid goes down, you better be ready. When the grid goes down.
Good one.
So, nice. Of course they want all of our weaponry overseas because they want us takeoverable by China.
Right. Yeah, that may be.
Get ready, folks. TNAM preparedness.
Yeah, because this is a ceaseless escalation, and it should be war crimes to use these awful devices. It's hypocrisy because they've called these things out before, and also why I thought the war was going so well. So why would they use a dangerous domestic maneuver like this, like using cluster bombs? So let's watch as this one comes down. It's a short clip, so it looks like a normal bomb, and then it opens up. All these little fragments drop, becoming little mini bombs, but then a lot of them do not detonate on impact, and they're basically like landmines just hanging around, and then children might find one, pick one up, and then that's it. And they'll sit around for decades in some cases. So this is a very awful, desperate maneuver. Has no business, especially if they're supposedly winning. But this is how sickening it is that they are still pushing this war in Ukraine.
All right,
means sending illegal and awful weapons abroad.
Well, speaking of awful, and what was the other word you said? Awful and disgusting.
Maybe.
What about this one? The CDC and medical establishment are covering up deaths from vaccines. Blake, agree or disagree?
I'm going to say agree. I think.
And by the way, the CDC, before we get into this, they just came out and said, we want to pump a dude full of chemicals to make his nipples secrete some sort of fluid that we think it's okay to insert this into a baby's mouth for sustenance. The CDC, the same CDC, just said that and said that they think dudes, they're calling it chest feeding not breastfeeding with the mothers. The CDC is calling it chest feeding, to put chemicals to make you ooze out of your nipple to feed a baby with. So I don't know. Why is anybody still listening to the CDC for a damn thing? But anyway, go ahead.
Maybe God should just blow up the planet, put us out of our misery, or at least just flood the whole thing again, because we got to start over. This is a lost civilization.
Sodom and Gomorrah has nothing on this.
Oh, yeah. It's this twisted 21st century dystopia version. It is crazy, which we are living through, trying to make sense of in real time.
So what is going on with the CDC and the vaccines? Did you have a story on like what's
I got a couple that I'll run through very quickly. One, I'll take these with a grain of salt because I can't completely confirm all of this stuff, but we'll discuss. This one's actually up davidike.com. Man, we were bringing up all the red flags on
Blake,
YouTube.
you did it today. This show will never be heard by anybody. Thank you, sir.
So according to this, let's just say this is
We're talking about the home run derby and the all-star game next time. I am over it. I would like somebody to listen to our show after the fact. God, you've covered every hot button thing.
Yep. So I guess we got a Lancet study on COVID vaccine autopsies. Found 74% were caused by the vaccine, and the study is removed within 24 hours. Lancet is one of the most prestigious medical papers on the planet.
Although
So
the Lancet report had a really big phony one that came out at the beginning of this pandemic. You remember that one?
Yeah, they may or may not have been manipulated by some people next to Fauci so that they could protect the little racket there. Perhaps. I'm not 100%. I don't want to get too much into the weeds there, so we'll just assume that some of this stuff may be misinfo. But there are alarming statistics that are out there. Here's another one. CDC altered Minnesota death certificates to remove the COVID vaccine as a cause of death. So I guess somebody, well, and it's an unnamed individual, so take it with a grain of salt. But they've recorded that and found out that they've fudged the numbers, because that would be very damning for them to if that was the case. And I'm going to show you one more. This is a true story for sure.
Before you move to this second story and we move off the Lancet, I just wanted to remind you, because I am convinced that this is what killed a majority of the people, along with pushing for ventilators that were not needed. This is a throwback from The Guardian. The COVID-19 Lancet report retracts a paper that halted hydroxychloroquine trials. There are so many people out there from the frontline doctors that said, if you could have just put people on something pretty benign, pretty low key, like an ibuprofen, very small side effects, like hydroxychloroquine, like ivermectin. This investigation found inconsistencies in the data, and it was a Lancet paper that halted global trials of hydroxychloroquine for COVID-19 over fears of increased deaths. It was retracted after this Guardian investigation, blah, 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 blah. So when I hear Lancet report, I just think of the stain of what they did to probably kill more people than the disease itself. They had an easily affordable, low side effect opportunity to give people a treatment path, and they blocked it and vilified it, and people died because of it. So when I hear Lancet, I don't think prestigious, I think monstrous. But I get your point that they are known, and as long as you can peer review reports, I don't care about what they did 2 years ago. Has it been peer reviewed? Is this verifiable? Is it repeatable? Science is always supposed to allow the chance for whatever they're saying next to be tested and proven, or but beyond a preponderance of a doubt. So anyway, I just wanted to add that as a sidebar to the Lancet, because that's all I think of when I hear Lancet. It makes my blood boil, because it could have saved a lot of people, including people close to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's because they have so much power and people believe them, and that's how that misinformation was spread. And then they went and attacked ivermectin as a horse dewormer. So It was sickening when people had very cheap, available alternatives, and they pushed remdesivir,
and the nurses called it Remdesivir.
Oh God! All right,
it shut down organs, kidneys, and it if you look at the trials of remdesivir, it's left a tornado of damage in its wake. I don't know how it's being prescribed to anybody. There's a lot of people who have raised warnings on that particular drug of choice when they vilified these very common Nobel Prize winning, super low side effect options that were available, and they pushed these jabs instead. So you had a second thing you wanted to bring up here?
It's the last part of this story is I'm going to mention. This is from Ben Davidson of Space Weather News, or the Suspicious Observers guy, talking about, yes, this is a little news report out of Australia. They're saying, what the hell is going on? Hospitals are so overrun, patients are dying in the hallways. That's what Ben is saying. Good thing they didn't mandate the vaccine to everybody. Oh, wait. Yeah, because Australia was one of the most heavy-handed trying to base. They went on this awful lockdown, like the horrible, nightmare dystopian levels of locking down, and they even have camps, the concentration camps.
You know why? Because they disarmed their populace, and the populace went along with it.
Yeah.
They would never try that in a place where people could defend their homes every single time somebody came and tried to tell them what to do. That's what happens when you disarm yourself.
Right. No,
never go full Australia.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they got a problem down there, and we worry about stuff like that happening here again. So if these, people that have been, boosted multiple times, if that is having an effect on an immune system and it starts breaking down and makes your body susceptible to anything new that comes around, whatever new bugs are in season, you could have all kinds of, repercussions for that. That'll happen over years. So people have put forth those conspiracy theories that there might be mass die-offs. And maybe that's a coincidence. Maybe this is underway in Australia right now. So we can only hope that this isn't as bad as it is. Or maybe it's just an isolated hospital and something else. We shall see. And hopefully people can make a recovery from whatever big pharma and put in their body. It's experimental mRNA technology. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we got two more, Blake. You tell me if you have time to cover it or push it to
Thursday. Right, we got 4 minutes. Yeah, these are quick stories, right?
People who are into health and fitness, agree or disagree, are likely to be far-right extremists. Oh, by the way, I saw a phrase. Woke supremacy is the biggest threat to the United States. And I put it as a Twitter poll at American_media_. Everybody go vote. But woke supremacy. So I think that's the best phrase to sum it up, because you're turning their thing white supremacy. Who point to two, point to one. There are none. They're talking about boogeymen. We're talking about real woke supremacy. That's like a mind virus to the weak. Anyway.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Elon Musk has actually put forth that out, the woke mind virus. But yeah, they keep putting out like more cartoonish, articles and things. This is from MSNBC because they tweeted that out. The fitness equals fascism article resurfaces as Rogan and Musk tweeted out. So I guess
fitness equals fascist. They're so stupid. They're the fascists. Like the far left, or just the left. I mean, there is no reasonable wing of the Democrat Party. Anyway,
not anymore. Okay. Well, we will with the new RFK and the Dennis Kucinich and some others as they.
It's Gavin Newsom, and he's just as bad as Pelosi. But anyway,
yeah.
So what is this article? Can you tweet this and tag me on this?
Well, this was put out by MSNBC. It's the far right's obsession with fitness is going digital. To which Joe Rogan said, being healthy is now far right. Holy F. And Elon Musk saying MSNBC thinks you're a Nazi if you work out, laughing my ass off. And yes, the who's who have all, roasted MSNBC, and they completely deserved it. But yeah, they're making it sound as though it's like, being fit is somehow a far right thing now. So
bunch of goofballs.
Oh, totally.
All right. Yeah, I would love to read that article if you can remember to tag me at American_media_.
Yeah.
Final thing, because you brought up Zuckerberg, or Musk rather. What is this new series of Silicon Valley with Elon Musk and Zuckerberg? Is it the best ever?
I've been binge watching Silicon Valley. I've had several people recommend how great of a show that was on HBO. Now it's on max. But I think I'm halfway through like season 5, so I'm making my way through it. I love it. It's great. It's actually written by Mike Judge, so it's really well written. Great characters. Highly recommend that. Just in all the weird shenanigans that happened in Silicon Valley, but it seems like it's even better in real life now that Zuckerberg has built this rivalry with Elon Musk. So I'll just leave off because that's basically the last topic I think I have for today. So Elon Musk called Zuckerberg a cuck, challenges him to an actual dick measuring contest. So
what?
Yeah, Twitter owner Elon Musk had some fun on the platform Sunday in the week when Zuckerberg's Meta revealed that its Twitter rival with way more censorship clone Threads. So he said, "Hey Zuck, you should go to space just to." I guess Wendy's, the restaurant, even got involved. But that's when Elon.
Wendy's does have a top tier social media team, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, they said, "Hey Zuck, you should go to space just to really make him mad." LOL. And then Zuck responded with the laughing emoji, but then Musk responded again by labeling Zuckerberg a cuck. So I thought that was pretty funny, along with many others. And then Elon said, "I propose a literal dick measuring contest with the ruler." So I thought this was hilarious. It's the big rivalry. They are setting up to get in the ring or the octagon and fight it out. But yeah, there's a lot of back and forth there. And Elon Musk is absolutely roasting him. On some.
This is the perfect ending to a show that nobody will ever hear, that will get censored down the memory hole into oblivion. A literal dick measuring contest. I mean, this has been a fantastic cavalcade. Just a wonderful cornucopia of cock involved chicanery.
Yeah, all right, we're going there.
Cock involved. Cock and balls, cock involved. Okay. Wow. Yeah. I mean, we are,
the cutting edge of the independent media. Welcome, everybody.
Right. Yeah. Welcome. You get what you pay for, folks. Okay. I know you got to run. Tell people where to find you on your way out the door, sir.
All right. TV's Blake Walley on Twitter. And of course, the archive, the nextlevelnews.com. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Great job, Brian. I had a blast as usual, and I look forward to Thursday when we can do it all over again.
Yes.
All right. Take care.
Continued.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. There he goes, everyone. Go follow Blake in all the places. Let me see. I pulled up chat. It looks like I'm able to see a couple of comments. I want to go scattershot to everybody who has stayed with us to this part of the program where we go to open lines, if you will. And by the way, if you're watching and you felt like jumping onto the program, I mean, you could just type, or we got to figure out a way where you could jump in and like get a screen. We could talk to you about that stuff. So Jocelyn is saying Eric Coomer rhymes with groomer, director of product strategy and security for Dominion Voting Systems, bragged about rigging the 2020 election against Donald Trump in a conference call. Quote, "Trump won't win. I made sure." But if they're the police, who will police the police? I don't know. Coast Guard? As she said before, we're on the cusp of World War III, yes. Shoigu says if U.S. cluster bombs are used in Ukraine, Russian army will be forced to use similar methods. Yes, this is what you call an escalation. An escalation of nonsense. Military-industrial complex. This is not what humanity wants, so stop it. She continues, cluster bombs are banned by over 100 nations because they last a lot longer than the war. Yeah, I mean, you saw stories of, I mean, geez, pick your country. Is there a place that the United States hasn't bombed in the past 100 years? I mean, Vietnam, Cambodia, there's mines all over the place that they're still picking up and cleaning up. This is not good. Be better, humans. Demand better. Imprison, jail people that are just not going to get on with the program. This is just stupid. Jocelyn, there were 10,000 vaccine failures reported in May. The CDC is covering up the breakthrough cases now. She says, lies, lies, lies. That was a good album from Guns N' Roses, GNR Lies. She says, lies, lies, lies. They're creating a false narrative since the beginning, yet they keep shipping unvaccinated illegals all over the country. Thank you. That's a point that's worthy of being pinned at the top of this. The entire scam is laid threadbare with this one comment. Tell us how shipping tens, if not hundreds of thousands of unvetted, unvaccinated, illegal aliens across the country meshes with Novak Djokovic can't come here and compete in a tennis tournament among the most healthy, fit people on earth because he didn't take the jab. And we're trying to protect public safety. Why Kyrie Irving can't play in a game, but he can sit courtside at the same arena. It's the most ridiculous stuff we've ever seen. May history books tell the truth about this Obama, Biden, Clinton corrupt regime that temporarily thought they took control until it all came tumbling down upon them. You have to be one of the dumbest effers of all time to believe this. She continues, yes. What's this? Japan, Australia, and UK. Hospitals are full of sick patients dying in the waiting rooms because there are no beds available. It's like we're back at square one. Everyone's traveling and spreading disease. Oh, that's awesome. They're still running the COVID mind virus pandemic. That's great. Saying fascists are using fitness to recruit people into their ideology is equivalent to comparing fitness to fascism. It's it just feels like the Babylon Bee is writing everything that the Democrat Party is throwing out. She addresses me directly here. Jocelyn does. She says, Brian, it's the dumbest article ever written. Trying to tie fitness to fascists, Nazis, etc. What WTF? WTF mental illness does it take to think like this? Yeah. Oh, there was another bad article. I saw one about, anyway, well, Ketanji Brown Jackson on the Supreme Court somehow. She cited a report saying that babies are going to die unless they have black doctors delivering them. Black babies will die unless you have black nurses and doctors. And it was completely debunked. It was never even remote. It never made sense on the surface, and it was completely debunked. And she put that into like a dissenting opinion on something. They're laughing at us. They're lying, or they're completely mentally damaged. What'd she say? More bread and circuses, distraction. I bet Zuck and Musk really are best friends. Yeah, I mean, there are even more red flags on on Elon Musk now than there ever have been. I think he just signed up to parrot and champion the Chinese core values. So that article just came out a day or two ago, and it's like, man, if you're becoming a mouthpiece for the CCP, ooh, you already lost, man. You lost me when you hired that WEF lady, Yacarino. Hey, Yacarino. All right. When you put her in charge of Twitter, yeah, I mean, huge red flags. Yeah, maybe they are really best friends. Who knows? Jocelyn, have a nice day, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and glad she got to catch the show live. Yes, that was awesome. Thank you so much. So, all right, we're going to call it for now. Yeah, we'll be back Thursday, 3 p.m. Subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media, at American_media_ on Twitter. Go to rumble.com/The New American Media. Subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify. Do that. We're on Truth Social, The New American Media. TNAM_S space parentheses The Agree to Disagree Show parentheses is the name of our private group on Facebook. Join it. It might be one of our most active. Instagram.com, I think it's /The New American Media. Subscribe over there or like it or whatever you do. Where else? True Social. Oh, Telegram and Signal. TNAM Chat, TNAM Official. Yeah, follow us on those places because, like I said, we'll tap this out in Morse code on a tin can if we have to. We're going to get the message out, whatever it takes. So follow us in all the places. We appreciate you watching. We love you, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care.